This is the Get Creative podcast, highlighting real people doing real deals. Join Pace Morby as he normalizes the conversation about creative finance. And now, on to the show.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Get Creative podcast, where we talk about success stories in creative finance. I've got my co-host, Rochelle Jarvis. She is in Arizona today, but she's soon to be moving to California. She's going to be a California girl. She might even change her hair color to blonde. Let's hope not.
No, not going to happen.
And we've got Keston and Jasmine. She wants to be called Jaz. She says, don't call me Jasmine unless I'm getting in trouble. We've got them all the way from Atlanta, Georgia today. Guys, welcome to the show. How you doing?
We're doing pretty good. Thank you for having us.
How long have you guys been in Atlanta?
It's not even a year.
Almost.
Yeah, almost a year. July 14th would be a year.
Amazing. And what took you from, you guys were in New York, right?
Mm-hmm.
What took you from New York down to Atlanta?
So my mom, not last year, the year before, she was like feeling like she was losing like wind a lot. And she thought, oh, I just have a cold. And our cousin was like, no, you need to go to the doctor. And when she got tested, they're like, yeah, we think we're going to have to admit you for a month. You have leukemia. And so once she was diagnosed, I went the first month that she was in the hospital. And then once she got released, they said she needed a 24/7 caretaker. So I was coming every 2 weeks from New York. And then my aunt would do the other 2 weeks. They lived together. And then when COVID happened, she was like, just stay in New York. But Kes says I was acting different and missing my mom. So we were very, very, very close. So he said, babe, I think we should go down, spend some time with your mom, maybe 3 months or so. But
he said that on his own? Like, you weren't dropping hints or anything like that? He just was like the man and was like, yo, let's do this.
No, I actually would have never suggested it because we have a bonus son, his son, in New York. And so it just, to me, wasn't an option to ever suggest, let's go move somewhere away from David. So when he suggested, I was just like, no, we have a life here. Like there's people, my sister's here. And I was like, she's in good hands. And he was like, no, babe, I think we should go. And so he's like, let's go for 3 months. Then he's like, well, let's go for 6 months. And then he was like, wait, it doesn't really make sense. We should just go for like a year.
Keston, props to you, man. Like most men would not even have the intuitiveness to even pick up on that. And you could tell that she was like just going through something. So you made the suggestion, let's get down to Atlanta.
Yeah. And I had to insist because she wasn't having it. And, just kind of hearing from God, and I'm like, we're doing this, and she wanted to go and rent. And then I'm not really a rent guy. I'm like, got to buy a house. I'm not renting. And then that's kind of what moved it from 3 months to 6 months to, let's just buy a house, have a tenant in the basement and do it. Like, let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. So you guys obviously always wanted to be in real estate. You guys transitioned from New York down to Atlanta. Did you change the way you were marketing in real estate when you guys moved down to Atlanta? And did Atlanta become your main market when you moved down there?
So we had actually just started real estate in 2020 officially. That's when in January we paid for this class to start doing real estate. And I mean, by March, everything kind of went dark. But then because I was coming back and forth to Atlanta, I'm like, we could just choose the Atlanta market and start working deals there. And I mean, everything kind of played. There are like 3 main things that happened at the same time, which was learning real estate, her mom, and leaving my job. Like those things kind of all happened all at the same time.
Wow.
I want to hear a little bit more about that because I saw your post the other day in regards to you actually took a video, right, when you were leaving your 9 to 5 and kind of the journey of, I see it so complex, right? There's a journey of you doing that and then knowing Jasmine a little bit, knowing she's just like that supportive partner and everything like that. So tell me like what that was like, because when I saw that, I thought it was awesome that you actually took a videotape and I was like, that way you could see back. So what was that like?
I was going through a transition in my life where I was becoming more in tune with myself and God. And that clarity, I wasn't on social media for 2.5 years. I was just really we had just gotten married too. So I just really wanted to focus on us. I really wanted to focus on being a better person. I wanted to focus on like just really building self and then real estate. And for me to have done that, it would have had to be, I had to cut a lot of weight off. I couldn't be in the same environment. So I knew that. I was reading books, listening to podcasts. So that's when that started. And I mean, my boss would tell you, he knew that I wasn't going to stay, because we had like, I would always talk about business and all these things. Anyone needed help with credit stuff, they would come to me. I would be excited about real estate, and I'll always tell them, I mean, they would tell you, I would always say, I'm leaving this job in like 2 years. Then one day. You
were like straight up saying that at work?
I was straight up saying it. Like, I ain't about to stay here, you know, and it was a great job. I was a cybersecurity engineer on Wall Street, you know, so it was a great job. Personally, it wasn't me, you know.
I think you should insert something though in that story. Me. So when Kes and I met, we met online.
Were you trying to hack like Wall Street and he caught you in the act or something? Like how did you guys meet online?
So we met on Match actually. And I met him during my free trial because I didn't want to pay for it. So whoever I met during the free 7 days, that's who it was going to be. And I met him on the last day actually. But
no way. You sign up for the trial. You're like, yo, I'm going 7 days only. You meet Kes on 7th day.
Yeah, I got a date a day. So I met a guy each day, and I had 7 dates lined up. Kes was my third date. Needless to say, I didn't go on the other 4. Or yeah, 4.
Yeah, I told her she had to shut that down.
Yeah, he did actually.
That's dead.
Yeah. But, I remember in the beginning, early on, he had told me that God had said he was going to retire in 2 years from his 9 to 5. And I was like, okay, cool. You know, I mean, I don't have any argument. It's just, okay, that's what God told you. And then the 2-year mark was March of last year. And that's when COVID shut down. So he didn't end up going back into the office after that 2-year mark, because everybody was working remotely. And then by June, you started getting other job offers too. And then you're like, no, this is what we need to do.
Yeah.
And then that's when you left, and it was fine.
When I went to get my stuff, there was nothing there. I had already packed up. Like I was never coming back. Yeah. And yeah, I got job offers offering me $50,000 more than what I was making. And I did the interview, but I just felt real disgusted with myself. And I'm like, babe, I'm not doing it. And so I called the guy and was like, bro, I'm about to leave in a few months. And we hadn't done a deal yet, not one deal, but I just felt it. And I knew like God was directing us and the grind. And so I just believed in God and believed in myself. I was like, babe, we could do it, you know, and here we are.
Yeah. Amazing. So since you made that transition last June, how's the journey been so far? Are you doing deals? Are you marketing? Is Atlanta the only place you're doing deals? Tell me more about your flow in your real estate business.
Yeah. So when we left and we came here, we built a team. Shout out to Dana and Nina. We built a quick team, and we hit like 10 wholesale deals like within a few months. And so we had a lot of that like momentum build up. And then the reason how we ended up coming to SubTo was because I really loved creative financing. Matter of fact, that was one of the classes that I took in the paid mentorship that I did before. But I was talking to sellers and it just kept falling through my hands, man. I couldn't close them, you know, and I just kept getting so frustrated. I'll come to the team and be like, we need to get creative deals, you know, wholesaling is cool, but we need buy and holds for everyone and blah, blah, blah. And I used to follow Brent Daniels really hard with the wholesaling. While I learned wholesaling from my other mentorship, he just gave things that connected the dots for me.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. I give a lot of credit to Brent as well. And he doesn't know it because it's just YouTube. But as that,
I'm gonna cut this out and send him a text of that exact little piece.
Cool, no problem. But as that went on, that's how I met you. And that's how I seen you. And I'm like, babe, this guy kind of knows what he's talking about. At least it looks like it. But we had just thrown down a pretty significant amount of money. And she was like, no, you said you're going to do this. Like, let's do this.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I get it. Probably a few weeks later,
a month and
I come back to the team. I'm like, guys, we need to do this. Like, this guy is for real. Like, I'm telling you, you know, and they pushed me off again. And then it came the point in time. Oh, actually, that's when Jazz mom passed. Transitioned. And Eddie Charger. Yeah. He was doing a 90-day challenge, and we had connected a few days before. And then when that happened, I was able to call Eddie and say, hey, bro, I got to pack my business up for a few, but my partners, they're still there. So if I could have somebody run the business for me and close deals, I'll really appreciate that. And Eddie was willing to do that. And that was one of the things that was like, wow, this community is something like never before. And I had this after that, and we were coming back in. I remember listening to one of the podcasts that you were doing, and you were talking about like what you were doing with your wife. And then I just brought the hammer down. I'm like, we're doing this, you know, this has to happen. And they all agreed. They trusted me again. And I'm like, watch, we're going to do X amount of deals. Just give me 3 months, you know? And in 3 months, things started happening. I started the sales training. I meditated day and night on your seller calls, you know?
Oh, wow. The seller calls that I was doing in the very beginning, the mentorship, the ones in the vault.
I still listen to those. I have a lot of them saved in my Dropbox. And that's in the morning. I listen to those seller calls maybe from, I wake up at 4, but I listen to those like about from 5:30 to maybe 7, you know, just listening to calls, having it kind of run in the back of my mind. And man, it has changed our life.
That's literally so interesting. Thank you for saying that. When I was doing those seller calls, I didn't think anybody was going to get any value out of it, because it was a bonus. I was like, nobody's going to care whether I call sellers or not, and any of that kind of stuff. And then we made the decision to chop them up into individual calls. Because if you were back in the mentorship in those days, I would go do 8-9 hour Zooms, and I would do 15-minute call increments for 8-9 hours straight. And then Kelly Hanno came on my media team, and she's like, we should chop these up. So she manually chopped those all up. Dude, that's amazing to hear that you still to this day are getting value from those.
Oh yeah. I mean, I tell people there's a reason I've only been on like 3 or 4 live Zooms. That's because I feel like a lot of the value is in the calls, or because I'm working in my business during the day, I watch the recorded Zooms in the morning when I wake up. Amazing. And so man, those calls, man, I argue with people and like, just listen to the calls. Like, why do you need pace? You don't need pace. Listen to the calls. Like, this is the call, you know? So it's like, just, you know, and so sometimes I got mad and, you know, tell people like, y'all are not utilizing the community. You don't need pace. You need the calls and the community. You could
That's the greatest thing that you could ever say. I love that. That's exactly it. Right. I tell people all the time, it's not my mentorship, it's our mentorship. And you look at like the Eddie Chargers of the world, and you know, Atlanta is a strong group. We've got a really good group of people in Atlanta. And we needed you, Keston. We needed you, Jasmine. And then I met you guys at a meetup that Keegley was having. And then we ended up going to Topgolf. I think it was the next day. And Jasmine, you ended up working with Rochelle, and I believe you still are working with Rochelle, right?
Yeah.
How many creative finance transactions have you had your hands on in the last?
We do a lot.
She's a superwoman. She's a superwoman. One thing that is amazing too about what I can say about Jasmine is, and about Keston from, obviously I've gotten to know Jasmine a little bit, but we're talking about obviously your journey in creative finance and meeting pace and doing all these things. But I always focus on, and me and Jasmine talk about this all the time, how this is a people business and relationships. And it's not just people that are being successful, but these are intentful, purposeful people. So it's like when you hang around with them, you're just a little bit better. And those are the type of people that you want to be in business with, that are not only going to help you succeed, because we can all vouch for like the deals that you're doing. Jaz is the expert now. You know, I don't really need to. She does everything on her own. And but they're just purposeful, intentful people. And to me, I just want to shine that on you guys, because I think that's huge. Everything that you guys do, it's like, you know, do business with these guys, you know, reach out to them. Value that we can get from you guys as not only learning creative finance, but just being better people. So, and
that's a great point. When I met Jaz, so we meet at Topgolf, and I'm like bouncing from table to table to table, you know, doing the little networking and stuff and hanging out with everybody. And I come over and I post up at a table next to you and next to, was it Marcia?
Marcia.
Yeah. So that's right. And we were talking about real estate agents and stuff like that. And I said, Jasmine, you have to go work with Rochelle. And you're like, really? I go, yes. Oh my gosh. Like I can just feel your energy. Like you and Rochelle would just freaking strike off like a match. Oh my gosh, please reach out to Rochelle. I felt like a little bit that I was dragging you to like reach out to Rochelle. It didn't seem like at the time something you really wanted to do. But I just knew based on your energy and who Keston and you were in just those couple of days that I'd met you, I was like, these are the types of people that we need working inside of our business and helping uplift the community. What was it that made you want to go and actually work with Rochelle at Constant Close?
Well, I haven't worked for anyone in like 2 years, give or take. My company that I was working for before did layoffs. And so my mom would call me a lady of leisure.
Nice.
So I really kind of got used to that lifestyle, honestly, being able to set my own schedule. I ended up coming up, like, especially during COVID, I think that's when I really got into a groove, because I was like, I need to make my life kind of how like in school when you have periods, like you have like science and then the bell rings and you go to math. Because the day was kind of just blending in, and I didn't feel like I was being super successful. It just felt like a day, like a blob of a day. So I would do like, read my Bible for 30 minutes, then go work out for an hour. And it just worked. It was like, perfect. This is so nice. And then when my mom got, you know, I started, when I moved down permanently, everybody looked to me. And so like now it was all like, I felt like it was all on me now. And my mom ended up having to go to the hospital like every day. And these are like 6-hour visits. And it was a little taxing from an emotional standpoint of seeing my mom. Because my mom like has this bubbly, vibrant personality. They call her Eva the Diva. Like, you know, and so to see her in this alternate state really kind of affected me more than I cared to admit. But it did. And so I kind of had a hard time adjusting to that, going from having this very leisure lifestyle to now I'm going to the hospital every day. And then I'm seeing my mom like this. And then when she ultimately transitioned, about a month after she transitioned, I was like still not coping well. And I was like, I need to get some help. I need to find healthy ways to manage my grief. And I found a grief class. But I realized like I would go to the mall like every day, not to shop, just walk around, but I needed that distraction. And I was already doing contracts for our business, but on the wholesale side. So when you were like, yeah, she's looking for somebody for a year, I was like, well, I'll consider it. I'll think about it, you know, because I needed something to keep my mind off of my mom and, you know, healthy ways to cope through that. Also, how do I elevate myself in our business? And then you were like, I remember you talking so highly of Rochelle, and you're like, yeah, I mean, she knows everything. I mean, you will learn so much. I mean, like, you just spoke so highly of her and where we were in our business and where I was spiritually. I just like, well, this could be a good fit. So then when we spoke, I was like, like the conversation just went really well. She's like, I'm not looking for catty people. Like I'm looking for 5 girls, or, you know, it was just so like to the point, but nice, but like, okay, I know what I'm walking into. And I said, well, I'm gonna talk to my husband about it. We prayed about it. And then we both agreed like, yeah, we should do this. It just felt like the right fit for where I was in my life, both professionally and personally. So for a very long-winded answer, that's how I ended up with Rochelle.
That's the perfect answer. It's what I was looking for. And I want to highlight a couple things. Rochelle wasn't just looking for a girl for a year. She was looking for the right people for a long time, right? There's people that approach Constant Close and Rochelle and my network all the time. I want to work for you. I'll work for you for free. I'll do whatever it takes, but they're not a culture fit, right? Mm-hmm. And when you find good people in this business, you want to hold on to them with all your might. You want to let them go. Even if, you transition away from Constant Close, if and when you transition away from Constant Close, the relationship there will be infinite, right? In 5 years, you have a question about a transaction, you can always call Rochelle. Mm-hmm. But the fact that you and Rochelle, myself, Keston, Eddie, Charger, all of us, all of our stars are aligned with the community that we're building. It's so much more fun than just going and trying to build this business on your own, right? Yeah. And so what I want to impress on people that are listening to this is that Keston and Jasmine, or Kes and Jaz, they're not just working the Atlanta market, right? So like, think about this. The people that are typically listening to the creative finance podcast, Get Creative, mm-hmm. they're listening to it because they're saying, I don't have the ability to join a mentorship. I don't have the ability to do much more than just watch YouTube videos. And I'm afraid to take any sort of action because I don't know what that feeling feels like that Keston and Jasmine went through, which is quitting your job, losing a loved one, and transitioning into real estate and building a team and having a team rely on you. They need your story. They need to hear your story, that everybody has to go through these things and it's not scary, and that people like you can help them get deals done. Or I have a lead and it has no equity, right? Yeah. Maybe it's like this deal I just did with Stephen Crawford. Check this out. I'll bring Brent Daniels back into this story. And this is what I want the audience to listen to. Brent Daniels has a program called TTP. He has a TTP student. They don't teach creative finance. And so what ultimately happens is if you don't have a deal that's at 60 cents on the dollar, it doesn't become a deal, right? And so Brent Daniels and he sends me all his dead leads, his no equity leads, because he's like, look, SubTo is not my thing. I get it. That you'd love that. Now, over the years of him selling me all these SubTo deals, he's been like, gosh, dang it, I should have kept some of these things, But he teaches his students to bring deals to our students, the SubTo students. So he's a TTP student in Yuma, Arizona, squads up with Steve Crawford on a mobile home park. Why did the TTP student run into or say, I need help? Is because the mobile home park is worth $550,000 full retail. Okay. The seller says, I want $600,000. Mm-hmm. And so what do you think the TTP student does? They're like, this is a dead lead. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So everybody that's paying attention here, I want you to understand that Keston and Jasmine can solve those types of problems. So what happens is the TTP student goes to Steve Crawford, goes, hey, I've been told that if it's a lead that the seller wants too much money or there's no equity, just to bring you the lead, you'll make the deal happen. So Steve Crawford locks up the contract on seller finance, brings it to me as a buyer. I buy the mobile home park, and I left Stephen Crawford in as a partner in the deal. So what I want everybody in the audience to know is that Keston and Jasmine not only know how to do creative finance deals, but Jasmine, not to make you the shining star of the whole show, paperwork, talking to sellers, coordinating the transaction, making sure things are done properly. This is the team you want to go to if you guys are in Atlanta specifically, because you guys are boots on the ground in Atlanta. Yep. But if you're anywhere in the nation and you have a lead you need help with, this is the couple to reach out to, right?
Just to highlight something that you said, you don't know this, obviously. Next week, we're closing on 2 seller finance deals from a tag that you tagged me in with someone in the creative finance group that needed help in Atlanta. And we're closing on those deals next week.
You owe me a hamburger or peach cobbler or something. You owe me something.
all no money out of our pocket. We're getting private money, everything. So,
bro, what's your exit strategy? You guys keeping them?
We're gonna keep them because we love cash flow. So we're going to keep them. And what we could actually do with it is bananas, because right now we're cash flowing about 600 after expenses. We are going to be able to, once we get rid of these tenants, we're going to be able to, they're two twos. We're going to be able to rent each room for $600 per room, shared housing. And so we'll be cash flowing like crazy, all with no money out of our pocket.
From you guys learning a strategy and you being in a position to actually help somebody who needed help. So that was a wholesaler that had a lead. You guys jumped in, worked that lead that probably wouldn't have been able to get done without you. 100% obviously wasn't going to get done without you guys.
Right.
Is the person who brought the lead to you, they got paid an assignment fee, or are they staying in as a partner with you?
Oh, no, we're going to pay him an assignment fee for sure.
Love it. My gosh.
Can I insert something here? I know
you're the boss, Jazz. You say whatever you want.
I know you keep saying we, but I really say he, because I personally do not like to talk to sellers in the beginning. I think they're hostile. Like when we first started, when I used to hear them cursing him out, I'd be like, can you go in the other room? I would leave the room. It would give me anxiety because I don't want nobody talking to my husband like that. Like, that's not cool, you know? And I had to get over that. It took us a while for me to be even comfortable being in a room here.
Yeah, because you're a lady of leisure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So, you know, I say he's the front end. I don't need no involvement. I don't want any involvement. I feel that sellers are different once you have the signed contract and escrow's been open, because now they're looking forward to their payday. So they're in a much different position. They're like, oh, hi, Jasmine. How are you? That's so good today. I hope you have a good weekend. That's not what he deals with. So I'm aware once it's locked up, then I'm the, contractual work with title company, do all the follow-ups, those type of things. But in the beginning, I have no interest. Don't ask me to call them, talk to them. No, that's
okay. I got a couple questions then. So a couple things. I know that you work with Rochelle at Constant Close.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm a brand new student, and not even a student, I'm out in the world, right? I'm in Atlanta. I'm doing cold calling, texting, whatever. I'm getting hold of sellers. I get a seller that's like, yeah, sure, I'm interested in a cash offer or creative deal, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
How important is the paperwork side of this?
I think it's super important, because if you don't have a signed contract, they could go with anyone, or they change their minds. I know I hear sellers, when he's doing his seller calls, oh yeah, we're not going to sell anymore, and I think that having the right paperwork is super important. And even if the terms change, just even having that signed, like locked up contract, we can always do amendments. But I think having that contract upfront and signed is super, super important. Otherwise, you just have words.
Agreement.
It is crazy, like the nuances that Rochelle has to go through at Constant Close in order to do some of these contracts. Like, she's doing things people have no clue even exist on a daily basis to allow people to just continue to focus on the front end of their business. Like, Keston, could you imagine like locking up contracts and then you having to do the paperwork and the transaction coordinating, all that kind of stuff as well?
I cannot imagine. I understand the paperwork, but I have never done a contract ever.
That's the greatest thing ever. So many people are like, I wish I want to understand every line of Rochelle. Do you remember last year in the mentorship, we had Sean St. Clair come in a couple times with you, and you guys literally went through every line of the contract. I did that because you just get people that are like, I want to know every word of the contract. And I'm like, contracts don't get you contracts.
Yeah.
Right? Like, talking to the sellers gets the contracts. That's why you just have Rochelle and Constant Close handle all the paperwork, and you continue to go focus on the money making activity, which is getting tagged in Facebook posts and locking up deals.
Exactly. And we have shut down our cold calling because we get so much wholesalers and people coming to us, even from our SubTo group, because I facilitate the daily dials on Tuesdays. And so, like, just kind of being in that space of helping people, I help people literally every day. And so now it's been overwhelming. I'm actually outsourcing myself now. I'm finally giving up acquisitions, at least.
How freaking cool is that?
It's been amazing. And in these few months, we joined SubTo in November. We went from 1 door to now 10. We have 10 doors now. So
that's 6 months.
Yeah, in the space of 6 months.
Do you wish you never joined SubTo? Is that what you're trying to say?
It's the worst decision I've ever made.
Bro, the thing is, like, here's what I thought when we were building SubTo. You know, I wasn't a coach up until like literally 14, 15 months ago. I'd been teaching and I'd been traveling around the country with Jamil 2-3 years prior to that, just teaching people for free. And somebody came to me and says, I want to help you build a mentorship. And I was like, no. And they said, no, write everything down on a whiteboard that you want in a mentorship, and I will help you go create this. And one of the things I wrote down was what you just touched on. I said, I want to build a community that is much larger than me. I want to build a community that doesn't rely on me. It relies on the tone that I set, the example that I set. And we only bring people in that have a similar mindset of go giver, go giver, go giver. And look what freaking happens. The universe, God, whoever you want to call it, magnetizes you and Jasmine to our mentorship. And now there are hundreds of people that get value from you every single Tuesday. You were able to turn your lead generation off, not because of the mentorship, but because what you put into the mentorship. Yeah. Bro, we needed you to join SubTo.
Man, the community is unseen, unheard of. It's just been amazing what we've been able to do and where we're going since joining the mentorship. And, you know, hats off to you, man. I appreciate it. And that's also part of kind of why the name is like Kes on Purpose, because most people think purpose is a place. You get to one destination, and like you just said, you weren't a mentor for a few months, and you know, but now you still feel like you're living your purpose. Before that, you probably felt like you were living your purpose. And so it's like this continuous journey, and who knows what the next 12 months would be for you, for me. And so it's a journey. And thank you, man. Thank you for making this and now impacting our journey.
Thank you. I honestly, you want to know why Rochelle's on this screen? Number one, she handles all of our paperwork for all of our transactions. She does way more for me as an individual than even with Cody. Like, she's dealing with some other weird things in my life right now on a weird deal. And she's just handling stuff and taking care of things. I would have never been able to create this mentorship if I hadn't met Rochelle like a year before it. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been able to do it. I wouldn't have been able to take all the things off my plate to allow me to focus on something so critically important without the right people in place. And same thing with you guys. We weren't able to create the daily dial, which is, you know, a little fragment of our mentorship. To some people, it's the entire mentorship, right? There's people like, there's people that go, I have become a different person by going into the daily dial. The daily dial would have never been what it is today without you joining the mentorship. So I feel like this journey that I've been on is collecting the best people on planet Earth over the last couple of years, and putting them in a position to impact other people has been the biggest game changer. So how can people reach out to you? I'm not a SubTo student. How do I reach out to Keston and Jasmine? How do I get help from you guys, whether it's in Atlanta or not? What is the best way to do that? Do you want to give out your cell phone? Do you want to give out your email? Jasmine's like, heck no.
Instagram is the easiest. Kes on Purpose. Just reach out. Always willing to help. Always willing to answer questions. Because I was there a couple of months ago. So please just reach out anywhere in the nation. We help people. I mean, we do all types of deals. We do foreclosures, tax liens, whatever it is. We're able to help. Short sales.
Marriage ministry.
I love that. So your Instagram is Kes on Purpose, KESONPURPOS, right? Or, oh, dang, E. Where's the E, Pace? Let's add that. I obviously don't know how to spell purpose. So
there's a period after Mrs. for me.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Mrs. So MRS period Glasgow. Spoken like it's the way that it's spelled, but how do you say it?
Glasgow.
Glasgow. Okay. So Kes on Purpose and Mrs. Glasgow, but it's spelled MRS Glasgow. That's the best way to reach out to you is Instagram, right? Just DM you and say, I need help.
Yep. And from there, they would be able to go to the website and fill out JV forms and things like that. But I really want to give people that personal touch of kind of understanding where they are and answering questions up front to see if we're a good fit, and or direct them to maybe one of your YouTube videos, or, you know, just give them the right direction. Because some people are stuck in park and I can't help you in park, you know. So it's one of those things where reach out, I'll be able to point you in the right direction or help you.
Love it. So guys, everybody that's paying attention to this, we end up getting close to 10,000 people watching this and downloading this in its first 30 days. So you're going to have a lot of people that will reach out to you. And the cool thing about this is people will still reach out to you in a year, 2 years, 3 years from this. So that's always fun. But everybody that's paying attention, I want you to understand something. You want to be next to people that have momentum, right? People that have forward trajectory in their lives. And right now you've got Keston and Jasmine that in 6 short months, they went from 1 buy and hold to 10 buy and holds. If that's not momentum, I don't know what is.
Exactly. Yep.
I've been in mentorships years and years ago where the goal was for people to buy 1 buy and hold every year for 30 years to get to 30 buy and holds.
Yep.
You bought 10 in 6 months. That's momentum. And people want to be around that momentum because it's infectious. You can't help but to start having the same traction in your own lives. And honestly, a lot of my traction in my life has come from Rochelle. I think I'm moving to California now, to be honest.
All of you guys have to come out. I've already told Jasmine, I told Pace, you guys all have to come out. Open invitation. So
the reason I bought the house I'm in right now is because Rochelle's like, I'm moving to California. I'm going to sell my house. I'm going to move to California. I go, great. Now I have to buy a house with a guest house so you can come back to Phoenix anytime you want.
Hey, I'm recording that. I'm going to send it to Laura.
So, Keston and Jasmine.
Yes.
This is 10 minutes longer than I promised you, so I apologize for that. But I wanted to get the audience to understand that it's okay for you to go through trials, tribulations, and it's very quick that you can go from quitting your job in June and by June of next year have 10 rentals and have no lead generation other than truly helping people. That's essentially what your lead generation is helping people that are struggling in their own business or people that don't know how to structure creative finance deals properly. Yep. That's your entire lead gen pipeline. So if I'm brand new or if I don't know what I'm doing, Keston and Jasmine is the couple that I want to reach out to.
100%.
Any final words?
I mean, there's so much to this business, but I think it really comes down to the individual. To get to any place in life, discipline, I think, is the most important element that's necessary to be able to do anything. It doesn't have to be real estate, and that discipline and being able to understand that you're gonna have to lose some things to gain more. And once you're willing to do that, then reach out to me. I'll be able to help. And I'm very blunt, so I'll tell you if I won't be a good fit. You know, it kind of is what it is. But,
one thing I want to impress on people as well is if you are like just barely learning what real estate investing is, please don't bother Kes by saying, hey, teach me what real estate investing is. Guys, that's what YouTube and stuff is for. You know what I'm saying? Like, go figure out how to generate leads. And then when you start getting some leads and some traction in your business, Kes and Jasmine are the people that can help you actually convert those into contracts. And if you get sellers that are really challenging, maybe you are already in the business for a couple of years and you have leads that are really tight or sellers want way too much money. This is the couple you want to reach out to. Use your time with them efficiently. Don't ask them, what is real estate investing?
Yes, because we're very busy.
I got those last week.
This lady of leisure back there is very busy.
Yeah, I mean, we work very hard, you know, between our business, constant close, you know, just if you meet my husband, he's that type of person that it's like always thinking of the next. And sometimes I'm just like, babe, can we just stay right here for a little bit? Like, I'm good, you know? And so it's like we're always on a ride, but, you know, just balancing and, you know, the new visions that he gets and how to support in that way. But, you know, he's a little bit tougher than I am, I think.
And my wife is amazing, man. Like, I thank her all the time. I try to spoil her just because her effort and ability to adjust, because I wake up every day with a new idea, you know, and, you know, she is my integrator, although we have an integrator for our business, Leanne, but she's my integrator, and I truly adore and love and appreciate, because I wouldn't be doing this without her. I really won't, you know. That
was apparent when I first met you guys. It was very, very easy to see that love that you guys have for each other. Rochelle,
what?
Would you mind talking about Jasmine and working together with her for a couple of minutes, just about when people reach out to this couple? Let's say I'm a female, okay? Because I run into every walk of life you can imagine. You guys do too as well. Sometimes you'll get female wholesalers that are afraid to reach out to a Keston, right? Mm-hmm. And they'll say, well, I really want to work with another female for whatever reason. Everybody, like Keston just said, it comes down to the individual. Sometimes people have trepidation or whatever. How has it been working with Jasmine? Is she somebody that if I'm a brand new female wholesaler and I'm afraid to reach out just like an individual dude, is Jasmine who we all think she is? Is she fun to work with?
Jasmine is amazing, but Jasmine is, I mean, you can't say enough about her for what she's been through to be able to do what she's doing right now. I'm in awe of what she does, because I've never been through that myself. And so that says enough about her as a person. You can see their unity as a marriage, how they just are strong and solid. But Jasmine is the person that loves to help, loves to give. But Jasmine is very clear about her boundaries. And that's why I love her so much, because as a woman, we are balancing different things that men are not even thinking about, that we are balancing. We're trying to be a supportive wife. We're trying to do this, you know, do all these different things. So she's a person that will be, I don't know if it'll be blunt like Keston is, but she will let you know her boundaries, but she will always want to serve and to help anybody that she can. But if she has date night, she's going to tell you she don't got time for you. If she has marriage ministry, she's just said she holds to her commitments. And that's the type of woman and women that I want to be in business with. So like Keston was saying, if someone's in park and doesn't have the mindset, it's very hard to relate with someone like Jasmine, because she is up here. She is someone that keeps me on my toes and makes me want to be better. So I think she will always point you in the right direction. She will always serve and want to give, but she will always do things with the foundation of her family first. And I agree with that. And I think it's amazing. So yes, reach out to her. But like Keston said, she'll point you in the right direction, or she'll help and do everything that she can. So she's amazing. I can't say enough about her, honestly.
We appreciate you guys tremendously, especially with what you guys do to pour into SubTo and the community itself and all the good things I hear about. You know, Caroline, she helps run the Daily Dial, and I reached out to her the other day and I asked her a couple of questions, and your name, Keston, kept coming up over and over and over, and just stories and stories and stories about what's going on over there. And I wish I could make it. I unfortunately have commitments early in the morning all the way through September, and so I haven't been on the Daily Dial as much as I'd like to be. But I really appreciate you carrying the torch and doing things that your personality allows you to do that I simply couldn't do. I can't be you, right? Yeah. And I really appreciate your flavor and your ability to do things that I just simply can't. And I want to tell everybody, reach out to these two. If you're new, if you're struggling with leads, if you're struggling with low equity deals, if you're struggling with sellers that want way too much money, this is the couple for you to reach out to. Kes on Purpose and Mrs. Glasgow, spelled Glasgow. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. We'll see you on the next episode of Get Creative with my co-host and one of my favorite people of all time, the owner of Constant Clothes, Rochelle Jarvis. Thank you guys so much. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Get Creative podcast. If you enjoyed this content, like, subscribe, and share with your friends.